Well, I'm at the place now where I pretty well got to stop fooling around with these casters and start cutting up the metal. And as you can see here, these casters, the flange sticks out the sides pretty good here. Now my thought was, well, that's no problem, I'll just cut that off. But then I'd be cutting into the area where the bearings are kind of braced up here, if you know what I mean. In other words, it's going to weaken this flange. So I pretty well got to leave it wide. So I can do one of two things. I can either just leave it the way it is, or I can cut a plate and weld it to the bottom of this piece here. But, you know, it's not going to have to win a beauty contest. So that's kind of too bad. Anyway. Oh, one more thing. I did conclude that if I was to take those screws and go at an angle with them, you know, it would clear this sidewall. And that might work. But you know what? I think I'm probably just going to end up spot welding them, or I guess I've got to stop using the word spot welding because that's a different process. Just tack them. Tack here and then tack back here. Then maybe go to the other caster and do that one, and then come back and do another spot weld here. Try and keep the heat from building up. One of the viewers had suggested using a damp rag around the sides here. I had thought of that, but then I thought, well, electricity and water doesn't go too good together, and I think it's up around 40 volts or something, so I didn't want to be fooling around with that. Anyway, it might work. You know, the wet rag thing, that is. I just honestly don't know what I'm going to do regarding how I'm going to keep these on. However, one thing I do know is this chair is not going to happen if I don't start cutting up this metal. Now you may recall from video number 1 that I'd concluded that the chair can't be any longer, that is the base of it, than 33 inches and the width 27.5. So because those casters stick out about half an inch, now I got to make sure that the frame of the chair is maybe only about 26.5 inches. So I got to remember that. Now when I'm welding together the frame and putting in the crossbars, the most logical place, at least you would think, is the very front and the very back. And that way the frame is going to be, well, as sturdy as possible. However, if I have the front one up at the very front, as one of the viewers so wisely reminded me, it'll make it a lot harder to stand up out of the chair, because that crossbar is going to be digging into your heels when you try to put your feet under the chair to help stand yourself up. Now, of course, this doesn't change the length of that bar, but I sure have to remember when I'm welding it up, have it back, about 12 inches maybe. Now I'm not going to show every single cut here on this bandsaw because they all look the same to the camera and they're going to look the same to you, and it's going to get really boring really fast if I try to do that. Now there's one thing that I noticed when I was carrying these pieces over here, and that is just how perfectly straight every single one of them was. Unlike lumber, which is almost always a little bit twisted, these are dead straight. And here's the beginning of the base.